On the morning of February 17th, 2014, an 18-year-old dials Essex Police. His voice is calm, almost bored.
Essex Police Emergency.
Hi there. Okay. Hello. I need police and a forensics team to my address, please.
What do you mean? What's happened?
My friend and I got into an altercation, and I'm the only one who came out alive.
No panic, no trembling, just a young man reporting a death the way someone might report a broken window. But this call is not where the story begins. Exactly 2 months earlier, another call was placed to the same police system. This time, the voice on the line is a mother's, and it's shaking.
Yes, I have a 14-year-old son, and there's an 18-year-old unknown, well, he says he's 18-year-old person, and I feel like he's being turned against his family, and I'm getting really concerned that this person isn't actually who he says he is. He's grooming him for something because he's trying to change his thinking set on everything.
She gave them a name, she gave them an address, she gave them everything they needed. That call was closed 1 hour later. No one ever checked. Breck David Bednar was born on St. Patrick's Day, 1999. While the rest of Caterham, Surrey celebrated outside, his mother Lauren held her newborn in a quiet hospital room and thought he was the most beautiful thing she'd ever seen. She dressed him in little old-fashioned English outfits, and people always thought he was a girl because he was so pretty. The Bednars were an American family living in England. Lauren, a teaching assistant from Michigan, and Barry, an oil trader whose job had brought them across the Atlantic 3 years earlier. Their life in the leafy suburbs of Surrey felt like a fresh start. When Breck was 2, the family grew by 3 triplets. Most toddlers would have been jealous. Breck wasn't. When Lauren asked him to bring nappies from the changing table, he'd toddle over and carry them back, already stepping into the role of big brother before he could form a full sentence. As the children grew, Breck became the center of their small universe. One of his siblings would later say,
"He was super nice at home. I would sit next to him at restaurants. I know people wouldn't believe that, oh, he's an older brother, he's gonna be annoying, but he was super helpful in any way that I needed. I couldn't ask for a better older brother."
Breck was clever in the easy, unforced way that made teachers smile. He earned good grades without much effort and dreamed of becoming a pilot. He joined the Air Training Corps in Red Hill, and every drive to Cazinet practice became one of Lauren's favorite rituals. Just the two of them in the car, chatting about everything and nothing, the radio filling in the gaps. Those quiet drives were some of the happiest moments of her life. But his deepest passion was technology. As he got older, Breck built a 3-screen gaming setup in his bedroom and spent hours after school playing Battlefield and Call of Duty with his school friends. They'd race home, log on, and enter their second life, the virtual one. Lauren knew the boys. She knew their parents. The door to Breck's room was always open, and she could hear every conversation. It felt safe.
He was laid back, chilled, clever, easy, fun, funny, good.
Then one afternoon, as Lauren passed by Breck's open door, she heard something that stopped her. A new voice was coming through his headset. It was deeper than the others, deeper than any 13 or 14-year-old should sound. It didn't belong, and something inside Lauren shifted. The voice belonged to the server administrator, the person who ran the gaming platform all the boys used. Breck told his mother the stranger's name was Lewis. He said Lewis was 17, living in New York City, working for the United States government on a classified contract. He ran his own tech company, worked his own hours, and had the kind of life every teenage gamer dreams about. Lauren wasn't buying it. She pressed Breck with questions. How does this person have time to game with 13-year-olds if he has such an important career? The answer came back rehearsed and confident. He can work his own hours. He doesn't have to answer to anyone. Has Breck ever seen his face? No, Lewis can't show himself because of the sensitive nature of his work. What about New York? Lewis claimed to live there, but when Lauren asked for details, the weather, a story, anything, there was nothing. He never had a single New York story to tell. There was an answer for everything, and that was exactly what worried her. Over the following months, Lauren watched her son transform. The boy who dreamed of becoming a pilot started talking about dropping out of Air Cadets. The boy who came to dinner every night now argued about leaving his screen. When Lauren popped into his room, the funny memes the boys used to share had been replaced by something else entirely. The Wicked Witch from The Wizard of Oz flying across the screen, Hitler goose-stepping past whenever she walked in. The Predator was turning her into the villain of Breck's life.
I noticed Breck's personality changing in the summer. He stopped being easy about doing the things that I asked him. He would question them. And in a way I couldn't tell, is this normal teenage behavior or is this something different?
He always wanted to go into the Air Corps training, and Breck was saying that he wanted to drop out and continue gaming, and they were like, what? But you've always wanted to be a pilot, you've always wanted to pursue that, and he was saying that he didn't want to anymore.
Louis Daines was not 17. He was not from New York. He did not work for the United States government. He was an 18-year-old living alone in a flat in Grays, Essex, a flat owned by his grandparents. He had grown up as an only child, bounced between separated parents, and spent time in the care system. His neighbors described him as reclusive. The Daily Telegraph would later call him a baby-faced killer who looked much younger than his age. But what made Louis Daines truly dangerous was something no one in Breck's life knew. Daines had a criminal record. In 2011, at the age of 15, he had been accused of raping another teenage boy. He had been found with indecent images of children on his computer. His name was listed on 2 national police databases. All it would have taken was one search, one click, one name typed into a system.
He's grooming him for something because he's trying to change his thinking set on everything.
And what happens when you speak to your son about it? What does he say about it?
He and the rest of the guys in this group completely look up to this older boy.
On December 17, 2013, Lauren LaFave picked up the phone and called Surrey police. She told the call handler everything. She gave them Louis Daines' real name. She gave them his online alias. She told them where he lived. She described in detail how her son's personality had changed, how this stranger was isolating Breck from his family, his church, his future. She used the word that mattered most, grooming. The call handler listened. She told Lauren 3 separate times that background checks would be conducted. Lauren hung up feeling a wave of relief. She had done it. She had reported it. Now the professionals would take over. They didn't. What Lauren would not discover until it was far too late was that the call handler never ran Louis Daines' name to the police national computer. If she had, the screen would have lit up with 2 entries, one for an allegation of raping a 15-year-old boy, another for possession of indecent images of children. The call handler didn't check because she assumed incorrectly that a search couldn't be run without a date of birth. That evening, the case was stamped with 3 letters, NFA, no further action. The investigation was closed before it ever began. Lauren took matters into her own hands. She confiscated all of Breck's technology. Christmas of 2013 became everything she had hoped for. Breck was present, laughing, playing with his siblings, eating meals together, no screens, no headset, no deep voice drifting from the bedroom. Because Louis Daines had adapted.
It felt like I had fixed the problem. I had no idea the predator was still lurking in the background.
When Breck's devices were confiscated, Daines sent him a brand new smartphone delivered in secret, a direct line that bypassed every safeguard Lauren had built. All communication went underground. The parents tried to arrange a face-to-face meeting with Daines. He refused. They suggested just the fathers meet. He refused that too. But forbidding contact only gave Daines more ammunition. Now the parents weren't protectors, they were the enemy. And the deeper the contact went underground, the more dangerous it became. In early 2014, Breck went on a school exchange trip to Spain. He came home confident, happy, talking about a girl he'd met.
I was so pleased and proud of him because he was doing a Spanish exchange trip, and that was something that I didn't get an opportunity to do when I was young.
For a moment, it felt like the old Breck had returned, but Daines was losing control and panicking, so he played his final card. He told Breck he was dying. He said Breck was to inherit his company, a fictional tech business supposedly worth millions. The words recovered later from Breck's tablet were chilling. You are in a man's world now. You need to step up to collect his inheritance. Breck would need to visit Louis's flat in person. Daines coached him on exactly what to tell his father. Say you're visiting a friend who lives 2 roads away. Don't say anything else until you're at my address. On February 16, 2014, Breck Bednar told his father he was going to a friend's house around the corner. Instead, he climbed into a taxi and traveled 30 miles to a flat in Grays, Essex to meet a man he had never once seen face to face. He did not come home. The next morning, Breck's father sent Lauren a message. Breck didn't come home last night. He stayed at his friend's house and I can't get hold of him. Lauren's stomach dropped. She began calling, texting, reaching out to anyone who might know where her son was. Then the phone rang. It was Barry. What came next was the worst phone call any parent will ever receive.
Louis has killed Breck. And honestly, you might as well just die at the same time.
A forensic analyst who later reviewed the recording noted that it sounded rehearsed. When the operator tried to ask clarifying questions, Daines cut her off. Can you not interrupt me with this part? If his script was disrupted, he wouldn't be able to keep it together. He claimed self-defense. He said Breck had been emotional, suicidal, that a struggle had broken out. But the evidence inside that flat told a completely different story. Police found duct tape in the bedroom bin and in the bin outside. They recovered forensic evidence of sexual assault, blood-stained clothing, a tube of lubricant with blood on it. Breck had been restrained. Daines had purchased duct tape, condoms, and syringes before Breck ever arrived. This was not an altercation, this was premeditated. Danes had tried to destroy the evidence. Most of Breck's devices were submerged in water in the bathroom sink, but he made one critical mistake. One of Breck's devices, a tablet, had been left untouched in his bag. That tablet contained 13 months of communication between them. Every message, every lie, every calculated step of the grooming, preserved in digital ink. Meanwhile, Breck's triplet siblings, 12 years old, were receiving messages from classmates. Photos of Breck's body had been posted to members of the gaming group. The children learned their brother was dead through their phones before the police ever reached the family.
My dad sounded like he was in pain. Eventually, my dad comes into the living room, sits on the couch next to us, bloodshot eyes, and he tells us that Breck is dead. And we just let it sink in, the horrible truth of it. That was the first time we heard it. That was the first time we felt that blow. And honestly, from that moment, that would change us forever.
When Lauren saw Lewis Danes in court for the first time, she was struck by how young he looked. He was quiet, expressionless, wearing a long-sleeved black t-shirt, the kind of thing Breck might have worn.
You could have been friends. You could have come over for pizza. You could have been part of our family.
Throughout the investigation, Danes had maintained his self-defense story. Then, on the day the trial was set to begin, something nobody expected happened. His barrister looked at Lauren with an expression she couldn't read. Danes walked in. The judge asked for his plea. Guilty.
And you could have heard a pin drop because nobody expected a psychopathic liar to change his plea.
The guilty plea was not remorse. It was his final act of control. By admitting guilt, Danes could prevent the most disturbing evidence from being read aloud in open court. Even in defeat, he was managing the narrative. On January 12, 2015, Lewis Danes was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 25 years. The judge ruled the murder was driven by sadistic or sexual motivation. The Crown prosecutor called it one of the most cruel, violent, and unusual cases her office had ever handled. In the years that followed, the Independent Police Complaints Commission confirmed what Lauren already knew. The call handler who took her report in December 2013 had never checked the police national computer. The supervisor had failed to intervene. Both lacked even basic training on how to recognize grooming. In 2016, Surrey police formally apologized and paid the family an undisclosed settlement. Breck's funeral was held on his birthday, St. Patrick's Day 2014. The whole town came out. There was a procession through the streets. By every account, it was beautiful. And then everyone went home, and Lauren was alone with the silence. For a year, she barely left her bed. She got up for meetings about Breck for the triplets school events and nothing else. Her children, 12 years old, grieving the loss of their brother, were also losing their mother. But Lauren Lefauve made a choice. She chose to live, and she chose to fight. In 2014, she founded the Breck Foundation, a charity dedicated to teaching children how to recognize the signs of online grooming before it's too late. She traveled across the United Kingdom, speaking in schools, police departments, and conferences. The foundation's short film, Breck's Last Game, is now shown in classrooms nationwide. Its slogan became a rallying cry for a generation of children learning to navigate the digital world, play virtual, live real. Today, the Breck Foundation reaches thousands of children every year. It has campaigned for stronger internet safety legislation, helped reform how UK police handle grooming reports, and ensured that what happened to Breck can never be so easily ignored again. Breck wanted to be a pilot. On the Foundation's 10th anniversary, Lauren did a skydive in his honor, releasing her grief into the sky where her son always dreamed of being. Her daughter said it best. Lauren Lefauve's words closed this story.